of the Go Mode Podcast Mentor Tournament for Link to the Past Randomizer. I'm SpamMusubi. I'm here with GrimLegend. Grim, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing really good. I'm excited for another outstanding race between two awesome runners.
Excellent. Yeah, it should be good tonight. We've got VirtuaCat coming in 13th in the standings. Fred, aka Derf, 18th right now. Both sitting at 4-1, heading into the last week of Swiss. This is our 6th week, so it's going to be an open seed and no mentors this week. Do you want to tell people just a little bit about the mentor tournament for those who are just tuning in for the first time?
So the mentor tournament is an awesome experience. Basically, what it does is it teaches new runners and intermediate runners basically how to rando, how to sit there and race, basically what a tournament's kind of like, while they kind of learn by playing people of various skill sets that are close to them. So what they do is we do 6 weeks of Swiss. The first 2 weeks are Ambrosia, 1 week of Mentorless Ambrosia, 2 weeks of Open, and week 6, which is this week, with Mentorless Open races.
Yeah, and though these two are going to be going solo tonight, they've got a bit of a history. I heard from VirtuaCat prior to the race. These guys have been rivals dating back to 2013, so should be pretty good tonight. I know VirtuaCat was looking for just about every edge he can get over Fred, who's pinging some of his past mentors over the past few weeks. So I'm excited to see these two go at it, and we're about 10 seconds away from race start right now.
I was also told that both runners had corked baseball bats inside their locker room.
Nice.
Should be interesting.
I mean, Fred's starting us off with the hot dogs take. I love that. And immediately we're going to get some different.
Oh, Bo inside of Sanctuary. That's big.
Nice.
I can't imagine that VirtuaCat would not also go right behind him.
But the early edge with those 10 arrows in Link's house, VirtuaCat takes a short lead. And looks like I saw 3 crystals, 7 crystal on top. All 3 blue crystals, it looks like.
And Fred's going to go up and check the tree, it looks like, see what that is about.
VirtuaCat already trying to maybe set up a tier 2 pull here. Early bush crab's got 5 rupees on it, or nearly 5.
So he didn't actually kill anything. So he gets a tier 0 pull. So nothing will come out. Interesting little fact, when you pull the bush crab, when he dies, that counts as a kill for you.
Yeah, that'll put you into tier 1. Oh, and we've got the ice.
If TR is a crystal, folks, it is an Agaseed. Well, it could be an Agaseed anyway, depending on Dark World access, but
yeah, if you're gonna see the ice rod there, I've got to imagine Fred liked that map check before then, because you're saying to yourself, well, okay, ice rod's there, gonna need that for Turtle Rock, but there's still 3 pendants out there in the Dark World, so a Trenex kill may not be on the plate tonight.
So I don't believe VirtuaCat checked tree, did they?
I saw VirtuaCat just a tree pull, I believe, for that full magic. I wasn't sure if that. I think they set up the 2 and then just got the 1 with the heart. So it looks like I couldn't tell if he took damage before. It may have been a 3. Once you have 4 kills and have taken damage, it's a tier 2 pull. 4 kills without damage is tier 3. And VirtuaCat filling up magic, I believe that actually may have been the tier 3 pull that they set up with that. Again, it's funny. I joked, but those early 10 arrows enabled him to get himself full magic that Fred now doesn't have, in addition to those arrows. So,
did VirtuaCat see the ice rod on Lumberjack?
No, I don't believe so.
I didn't think so. That could be big information, especially if he doesn't find himself getting to the tree to check it. That could be interesting, because Fred's gonna know if it's a crystal on Trinex.
And we're seeing an interesting different set of choices in Kakariko here. VirtuaCat got that 300 from the mushroom spot, went down, immediately purchased bombs, didn't want to get caught without. Fred took their chances and got lucky.
We will be updating our tracker momentarily. We are having a bit of a delay on getting that individual their information they need. So bear with us, folks.
Good news is it's just Bo and a whole lot of
money.
Both going to be heading in.
Lot of bombs. Oh, we got a Moon Pearl on VirtuaCat inside the well, which Fred will be right behind him with.
So not a ton in Kakariko, but that Moon Pearl obviously. So quick note about the tournament as it's going on. These are 2 4-1 runners right now. This is a pretty big match. As this is the last week of Swiss, which is every week you reseed based on your record. The winner will move to 5-1. The loser will move to 4-2, and that's pretty big. Brackets start next week in this tournament, and the top 16 players will be seeded in the Golden Sword bracket and have a chance to play for the championship. So whoever wins tonight will be assured that one of those top 16 spots and maybe even a decent seed, which is important because higher seed gets to pick their game mode in the round, while 4-2 will be kind of waiting out the week to see what happens and watch the tiebreakers nervously. Grim, you think there's even with the new, even though this is the mentor tournament and these are relatively new runners, you think they're feeling pressure this week?
Yeah. I mean, brackets aside, you're always you kind of live week for week, right? You don't me personally, I'm not looking at week 7 if there was one. I'm looking at this week who I got. How am I going to do this? What are some of my weaknesses that I can make better? And then next week it's going to be kind of a little bit more pressure when you're kind of sinks in that this is it. This is your last match. If win or go home,
Absolutely. And I would just note, even though the winner will go to the top 16, all of our players will be seeded 1 to 64, and we've got one bracket for each of the 4 swords. So everyone will be playing elimination games next week. But obviously, if you're one of these runners and you're so close to the top, you definitely want to be in that top bracket.
For sure, it's always better to be at the top than at the bottom.
All right, so VirtuaCat, we get flippers from the uncle.
We got a green goo inside of dam, or on the outside of the floodwaters.
So after a mostly slow Kakariko, things are starting to pick up. We're also seeing a lot of rupees now as VirtuaCat heads north through the uncle from Link's house, and Fred heads to the south shore to take a look in Mini Moldorm Cave. This is, well, now he's got 25 arrows at this point, so I was going to say it may be a little tricky, but should make relatively short work of these.
Sides for a moment to join their side. Thinks better for a second. Gets that fairy. Let's see what's inside of Mini Moldorm. Psychedelics of mitts. That'd be about it.
With the mitts and the Moon Pearl now, we're only a hammer away from Dark World access already, which is pretty nice. As VirtuaCat picks up a boomerang in Uncle. Fred gonna wait on Ice Rod Cave. That's an interesting play.
I've seen that kind of go both ways. I personally like to check Ice Rod Cave just because it's one of those checks that you may not get to for a while, especially if you don't have flute.
And as I noted,
Go ahead.
yeah, as I noted before, with 3 pendants in the Dark World, Flute may not be necessary for this seed. It really only may be necessary for Mire in the Dark World.
It's definitely one of those convenience things. Unless you've got Misery Mire, then it's obviously needed, but makes you go a little bit faster. Oh, there were Titans mitts
Well,
inside a back of Escape.
so this opens up the map considerably at this point. Even without a sword, you know, we've got 4 hearts, sword, a green mail, and Dark World access for our runners at the sheesh.
And interestingly enough, we could still be looking at an Agassi depending on where that hammer's located.
Well, speaking of safety, that's a nice one for VirtuaCat, getting to the end of escape there and finding.
With
No,
flippers being inside of Uncle Route, does that effectively eliminate though the Agassi as far as Dark World access?
oh, I'm trying to picture the Dark World map in my head. I believe it may because you can. Well, now I'm thinking. You can get to the bottom, up to the hammer pegs, and you can get to the top and go
With mitts,
around to the
you
lake.
can get around to it. So yeah, that would
Yes.
effectively eliminate Aga there.
Well, assuming, of course, that there's not a crystal in Turtle Rock, because as we know,
Well, correct.
we've that ice rod up in, or at least as Fred knows, we've got that ice rod up in the. So Fred immediately gonna be headed to Thieves Town now. Gonna cash in that Dark World access. Finds a sword from the chest game, which was great. You know, pretty much was down to bows and arrow. Excuse me, bombs and arrows so far. But a sword here will put them in play for everything except the hand.
And as we know, early Thieves Town generally doesn't normally have required items in it when it's hammers buried deep. But sometimes it likes to be trollish and definitely does.
If you're Fred and you've made this play, you've got to be liking the fact that the first 2 items out of Thieves Town were both full hearts. That's definitely going to take a little bit of the pressure off for a dungeon that can be a little unforgiving on 4 hearts and green mail, especially this early in the game.
For sure.
So we've got 2 items up top as a VirtuaCat playing dodge.
Decides to take that death refill on hearts, and we're leaving.
Okay, a quick dip for 2 items there. That means 2 will be downstairs. I did not see, and I know we're still trying to. No, I'm looking at Twitch chat now. Thank you for Twitch. Looks like Green Turtle Rock Pod and Swamp. So Flute will be required to get into Mire, but Ice Rod, unless there's an item on Trinex, will not.
Now that is interesting. That makes things a whole lot more complicated because if he has something on Trinex, VirtuaCat's going to see that and be a pendant and not worry about really finding that ice rod, and it could really make it or break the seed for them.
Definitely. All right, and it looks like our tracker is back up online. So our steady tracker Carlson, who really appreciate it. It's tough a lot of times when you've got technical difficulties going on, but Carlson 32 and McMonkey doing a fantastic job behind the scenes. Be sure to give them some follows. We're getting them live. We'll get all those items up very shortly, and then there'll be pretty pictures down there to look.
And it looks like VirtuaCat also skipping out an ice rod chest as well.
And now we know they'll have Flute at some point to get back there, but although by then they probably won't want to track it, as it's with this world as open as it is right now, and that being a Sphere 0 check, the odds are pretty long.
Yeah, you're not going to want to go back there unless you're really up against it. But with flippers, you could decide to make that play too when you're in the neighborhood, but we'll see.
So VirtuaCat gonna be getting wet and heading to Hobo while Fred works their way through the south shore of Dark World. And you can see already two things about a lot of the drops. One, ton of money so far, which may be pushing VirtuaCat to go check out the wet plays and Zora. And two, Fred's starting to pull away, and there's our
Well, he's got to pound down that tent somehow. So we just took his hammer from him. I always feel a little bad taking items from the hobo.
I prefer to think of them as freely given. Now, Fred, meanwhile, as even though VirtuaCat's got that hammer, Fred now on Master Sword and 7 hearts, and a shield. Got VirtuaCat looking like with those 1,000 rupees going to be making that Zora play.
That makes a lot of sense. You got early flippers, you got the money, you might as well get those checks out of the way early.
Definitely.
Looks like we're going to see Fred possibly going into Eastern for the closet check.
Right, and keep an eye on that divergence too. Fred, no flippers as of right now, because hasn't checked Uncle, which means no hammer right now. They do have a bow. This is a crystal in Eastern Palace, so with even though it's not technically in logic yet, as far as we know, should be able to clear it out by week 6 of this, and some good guidance on the dark rooms.
Just 50 bucks, 500 for 50. Clearly a good deal.
Meanwhile, the rich get richer for Fred as he picks up a red cane in the hospitalist closet. Will be necessary down the road for part of that Meyer play. Also gets you past the first pit in Turtle Rock.
For sure. It also makes you feel good knowing if you have, with Ice Palace being a crystal, having that red cane to make that icebreaker play.
Absolutely. All right, so now Fred heading into Eastern Palace here. Again, outside of logic, but should be handleable. I think one of the things I've liked about the Mentor tournament so far is that, we've seen even on the weeks that with the players haven't had mentors, we've seen them putting their game knowledge into use, making plays that, I think even without a helping hand, I get a little scared making with some of the dark rooms and some of the more advanced tricks. They're definitely. I saw both these guys practicing on stream before the race started. They're both ready to pull out all the stops, and I think that's a mark of a good racer right there.
And we're just about to check that right chest. And Fred is coming up with a book that opens up. That'll open up Desert Palace a bit. Obviously, cannot clear it until they get a fire source, but
yeah, it makes it a little less likely that we'll see the mirror too, since you'll be able to get into desert without it, and Swamp Palace is only a pennant today, so it's looking likely that we'll see Icebreaker and Ice Palace, may not see Diver down in the swamp.
yeah, and that's always one of those routing questions. You got 6. I've got flippers. I've got the hammer. If they get an early hook shot, do you dive down for the 6 items in Swamp Palace, or do you let it be? It's one of those conundrums.
Sure, and looking at what's clearable right now, obviously, with the early Dark World access, you can get just about everywhere, but they're both doing this dungeon out of logic right now. You're still going to need some fire for Desert Palace. Still going to need a way to get to Tower of Hera. Still need that fire rod for Skull Woods. So there's even with all the open overworld that they've got right now, You know, I mean, you don't have a way to get past the first room in Ice Palace. A lot of the dungeons are still pretty locked up tight.
For sure. It's going to be that one item that just kind of pops it all open for them. It's quite a difference on hearts, though, for Fred compared to VirtuaCat.
Yeah, even though it looks like they're virtually identical right now, that early Dark Room World dip for Fred was a significant advantage going into the dark here. And it looks like they're going to go straight up here. I think, have we seen, I believe we've seen, I thought I saw a compass there before. So I think it's going to be a coin flip whether there's an item on Armos Knights, correct?
I believe so. I didn't remember which one was which.
Yeah, I think the last chest check there was a compass. So that would mean that, you know, this could be an interesting divergence and potentially, you know, VirtuaCat taking the full clear approach. Fred, if sort of gambling here on Armos as they head into the fight.
VirtuaCat's into big vanilla big chest key. Pops it open. And it is a compass on big chest key.
That was the compass, yeah. So never mind. I'm an idiot. I forgot. I thought that was a compass chest. I got a little confused.
And we are looking at except VirtuaCat's going to go get that health from the fairies at the bottom of the pot.
Yeah, good knowledge there. Fred, meanwhile, looks like they're going to be heading towards the portal. Where would you head at this point if you're Fred? You know, well, no, Fred's no hammer yet.
Fred does not have the hammer yet. Fred still needs to go through Uncle, and then I believe the back of Escape to get the hammer. I don't believe they've done that yet. So VirtuaCat with a bit of a lead, but Fred with the knowledge of the ice rod, that could be definitely the game changer. It's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out, if at all.
And Fred fake flippering there and resets at the cashing in the mushroom, but that's an interesting play there. You know, I think it's a smart play. They cash in the mushroom, they see it's nothing, and then Fred turns around and hard resets the game. And the reason for that is at that point you keep the mushroom, and you can potentially use it for fake powder later there. So that's a good little bit of game knowledge there. Choosing to take that hard reset rather than a save and quit, and holding on to their mushroom.
Yeah, it's always nice to have that mushroom for a fake powder when you later, especially since it's nothing. No reason to hold on to or give up for like a rupee or something like that. Just grab it in case you don't find powder later.
VirtuaCat does their almost fight. Fred is going to check out the ledge, just some arrows, going to skip Agina for the time being, it looks like, and head in and check to see if we're now, even if we're boots locked here, Fred can't complete Desert Palace because they don't have a fire source right now. So even being able to get to the back, they won't be able to light the torches, opening up Lamola's room, but potentially 2 items up front here.
Right. It's always nice to get, especially knowing that Misery Mire is going to be a crystal. You can just tie that in real nice later anyway. If you can get the 2 items quick and easy, that's awesome. Worry about the kill later.
Definitely a chance to come back. And now I think VirtuaCat having checked out Zora already, no need to fake flipper up. They've got their real flippers going to use that portal near Swamp Palace.
And Fred finding out that it is in fact boots locked, but he could still pick up 2 items here, although unlikely, but you never know.
Yeah, if you're gonna see the big key up there, it's it's not so bad to have the small one there. Although whiffs on the first item has a VirtuaCat going to head in, and I believe pick up their Master Sword from Tony Two Bombs, or no, first sword for VirtuaCat.
So
20 minutes in.
both items are going to be locked behind boots, with one being in big chest and the other being on land molus.
Yeah, it's a bummer for Fred having made that play, and now will likely walk out and head over to Agina's cave.
Now that's a smart area to go out. Most people would just, either save and quit right there, they jump out the front, but you kind of forget about that right side jumping out being right next to Agina.
Yeah, Fred making a lot of great little plays so far that really could add up down the road. Meanwhile, VirtuaCat taking a little while to get those the info off there. Although I will note, as as map checks go, that's about the hardest one you can do. You've got to figure out where both your red crystals are and your green pendant is, and normally you don't have to do that among the 7 there. But having seen blue crystal, blue crystal, blue crystal on their first map check, VirtuaCat wants to make sure they get it right.
For sure. You don't want to mismark something and then you're finding yourself in the middle of a pendant that you thought was a crystal, and that changes your whole game.
That is a crushing feeling, let me tell you.
It
So
looks like VirtuaCat's heading over to the dig game. Fred finally picking up their flippers.
So as we recover this ground, just wanted to give a shout out to our runners, VirtuaCat and Fred. Do go give them a follow. And while you're at it, be sure to follow Go Mode Podcast. Most recent week's podcast is up. I know they were looking at swordless damage this week. I did not have the chance to take a listen today, but I'm sure I will tomorrow because I very frequently find myself without a sword and without the ability to damage anything in this game. So there'll be some talk about this tournament. There'll be some strategy. Be sure to check that out on wherever you get your podcasts.
Also, the podcast bi-weekly this week is on swordless, for those of you that are wondering, which is really good information to know.
You pick up important information on both the swordless mode and what it takes to beat bosses when you're a little bit under equipped. And I know there's a good back catalog too. If you're just getting into running, I definitely recommend checking out some of the episodes from the past few weeks, especially uh, the guys have looked at top 10 tricks for new runners to learn, or glitches for new runners to learn, to sort of prioritize your practice time. A review of bosses with Error. I've definitely learned a lot over the past couple of weeks. Not that I'll be able to put any of it into execution in the near future, uh, but it's nice to know that they're looking out for us.
For sure. Fred going into the bottom of escape, while VirtuaCat is going to be able to full clear Thieves Town if they so choose.
Yeah, we're getting close to some parity here between the runners. Really, at this point, it's Fred hasn't gone to. Excuse me, Fred's made their dip into Desert Palace. VirtuaCat now catching up with Fred's top 4 play, but we will almost certainly see the basement now. What we haven't seen yet is Dark Cross. And that's where Fred's headed.
It's kind of interesting. I was watching Fred fight the other green guard. Couldn't tell who was who or who was winning that fight.
Yeah, poor guys. See him march in there. Just what do you want, buddy?
Think it's your buddy and he bops you in the face.
Really solid snaking him. So new to the most recent version of Rando is one thing that has befuddled trackers, and I'm I do a lot more tracking than I do commentating. And God bless the devs for Rando. They've figured out how to make the item appear 100% of the time. Usually it had to do with what color the item was in a dark room. Now we are guaranteed to see it on Fred's side of things, and so we will know, even though all we could see of Fred is a sparkly sword, what item they pull out of this dark room check that we have yet to see.
Fred looking for it through the dark. This is one of those interesting chests that you're just kind of funneling around until you just happen to get at it.
Yeah, you can get your, that room is a large cross, and without a fire source, if and just a piece of heart there, if you have the fire rod, you have the chance to light up the torches kind of on the east end of the cross. But without it, you're sort of going over to the right side of the room. You can sort of orient yourself from there, walk back to the chest. But even then, you're sort of dipping underneath the chest, and it's always a bit of a gamble. Have I gotten close enough? And those chest hitboxes can be a bit finicky when you're opening them up in this game.
Yeah. The same thing with leaving rooms in the dark as well. They can get a little bit iffy sometimes.
VirtuaCat gonna have to take it a little safer here. Just that green potion so far, and down to half a heart up in the attic. This is not a place you want to take a death. If you can,
Yeah, definitely get this bomb off, and then the death isn't as bad.
social distancing, kid. If you had been wearing your cape, you wouldn't have gotten sick in the first place.
That is true. Interesting fact, the Canabarna keeps a 6-foot radius around Link at all times when employed.
Nice. Yeah, it's helpful, but I just, when I'm going to the grocery store, I just don't like lagging.
You're not wrong.
Okay, so we're going to get a little more parity now. Fred going to go straight to the back of Thieves Town, VirtuaCat working their way downward through to...
Did
Blind.
Fred not go into the back of Escape? I don't think he did. I think he went straight to Thieves Town.
Good question. Good question.
Picks up the heart and will make his way to the back as well. But if there's an item on, well, no, it does not look like there is going to be an item on, or at least, yeah, there's not going to be an item on big chest because the
Well, no small key yet, right? So we're hoping...
So from what I was told, blind cannot have the key, but I don't know if that's 100%. I don't know.
That's an excellent first two cycles there for a scripted blind fight. Gets that Canis Samaria in for 2 points of damage.
Well
Very virtuous.
See, bombs it is.
Nice.
Okay.
I did.
Yeah. Blind cannot have the key. I don't remember why blind can't have the key, but it can't. It's like his kryptonite. He picks it up, hand falls off. It's not a good thing. You're right.
Oof. Yeah, even with all those hearts, those crickets hit hard, and this is kind of the downside of early Dark World access. You get there before Blue Mail, and everything's hitting you for chunking you off for 2 hearts at a time. So you really got to be...
The hammer was in the back of Escape, right?
No.
Oh, that is right. We took his hammer from him, so he can't put up his tent no more.
Sure. Yeah, I think End of Escape was...
Okay, correct. For some reason, I was thinking it was in the middle of Bag of Escape. Seeds tend to blend together.
VirtuaCat, good small time save. Hey, when you check that map chest in Skull Woods, don't walk all the way back like a sucker. And you'd like seeing that key there too, so that means no soft lock
wow.
here. And
That's a terrible place for a fire rod because you don't really want to go to Skull Woods unless you have the fire rod. That pays
yeah,
off. And with half magic, that'll make the Mothra fight a whole lot easier.
right. I think normally you'd, ideally you'd try to clear out the back first, but finding that key in map room prevented the soft lock, and then that gets to the fire rod, and that's going to make for some really smooth routing through here, especially with Cane of Samari.
For sure.
Oh, it looks like VirtuaCat figuring that you got to kill Mothula anyway. It'll warp you back to the beginning, and you're probably. It's interesting though. You leave a couple of chests behind. The odds are against you finding that second.
Yeah, without the mirror, normally what I like to do is I like to go bridge chest first and then Mothula, just for the fact that I don't want to have to come back and I'll forget sometimes. But without the mirror, the time save is not very good. So
Yeah. Another thing too is, when you don't have that mirror and you kill Mothula first, as opposed to the bridge check, you're going to be coming back from full hearts if you.
for sure.
Whereas you check bridge first, that's not something you have to worry about. You can just stroll into the mummies as much as you want.
Barely misses that hand.
It's snug wall map.
VirtuaCat.
Sick Kid wasn't holding anything out on us for Fred as he checks Bumper Cave.
Oh, you're good. VirtuaCat throwing balls of fire at Mothula and knocks him down. And is rewarded with a tempered sword. How nice.
More important, yeah, and seeing that second item means that gamble pays off big. VirtuaCat now. I mean, not really much at all. They haven't done the Sick Kid check, so they don't have cape, so they're not going to be checking Bumper. Unless you're going to Catfish or maybe hooking around the top to Pod, which may be what they're doing here.
And Fred also making the same play, which is a lot easier to do in open than Ambrosia. But he's rewarded with his fire rod.
So definitely seeing some more aggressive routing from Virtua. And the other taxi ride using.
Yeah, he's nice when you want him to be and terrible when you don't. Nothing on Bumper, just 20 rupees.
Good job of dispatching those murderadactyls. One of the more underrated death threats in the top of Dark World.
Yeah, especially if you're on green mail and early in the seed.
So it looks like VirtuaCat, without mirror, going to be hooking around, popping flippers, maybe a catfish check prior to Pod, but it looks like they're headed down towards. No, it looks like they're gonna.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that one. You're right here. You're really not going to get too much of a better opportunity than the way you're going right now. Might as well.
Yeah, this is it pretty much. And without that flute, it's going to be a hike to Pod one way or the other. You can't just flute to the Pod portal. So I like this here.
for sure. See what the bargain Zora gives us. Nothing but bombs.
Bad day for the fish cartel.
Well, I think you already got our money from King Zora.
I'm always convinced those two are in collusion.
I haven't really thought about it, but is Catfish actually King Zora in the Dark World? And he's just ashamed about it?
Cousin.
Like, VirtuaCat.
So
to Ice Palace, it looks like.
yeah, heading into ice over here now with that fire rod away to get past the first door. Mitz lets you in.
Well, we're gonna go see an ice rod check. Juked us.
And a nice fight for Fred there, taking.
Who's rewarded with their tempered sword. See if they kind of have the same routing, or do we see a bit more divergence here? They've pretty much been on the same track, more or less.
Yeah, not a lot holding them apart right now. The big one is the fact that Fred has yet to check out Hobo and therefore yet to get their hammer. VirtuaCat finding out.
Going to Ice Rod Cave for a penny for their thoughts.
+1 for that spike.
I gotta agree that nothing says spite more than 1 rupee for the trip out of the way.
That's how you know you're a good racer, though, when you've got A, the wherewithal to remember that you left that ice rod check behind, and B, the wherewithal to remember to leave a spite bomb there in the heat of the battle. Just
absolutely. And into Ice Palace we go. And with half magic, should be pretty easy.
so, Grim, can you explain the routing here a little bit?
So with Icebreaker, what you're going to do is you're going to go through here. You're going to go down into, I believe this is the compass room. Oh, I like that. I like the strat. Charge your shield, come in, hit all your pen gators, kill the last 2, and it's rewarded handsomely with the hook shot. They're going to go right into the next pen gator room, back up or back out, up to where you would normally go to start to go to your Ice Palace bomb jump, and you're going to hit the switch and then come all the way back into the big chest or big key chest, which will save effectively about 5 minutes of routing, give or take, depending on how experienced the runner is.
It looks like VirtuaCat.
So this is a pixel perfect move. Basically, they're going to line up and get themselves about 1 pixel into the rail right there, drop the Smario block, and pop on through. So now it'll be interesting to see if they go Ice Tea Room, which basically is what I do. I go big key chest into this room, and then from this room, when you get to the crossroads, I go up and then down into the Ice Tea Room, and then bomb jump over to the freezer room, and then you pretty much hit all of them all in one go.
Sorry to pull you off a topic for a sec, but a very important divergence there. Fred finding the flute up on the pyramid.
Oh, that's right. VirtuaCat did not. They save and quit from Catfish, didn't they?
That is correct. It took the whirlpool, I believe.
Yep. On down.
No, they couldn't have.
Yeah. Depending on what items you get, you're missing something. I believe you're missing the big keys.
So Fred now heading into Palace of Darkness. Some of the same issues with Eastern Palace here. Logically, only having the fire rod means that some rooms like Dark Maze are out of the logic. But with the bow, they're going to be able to check a lot of chests, and depending on their comfort with Dark Maze and the turtle rooms downstairs, potentially a full clear here without any problems. But we'll see. Those are tricky rooms, even for good runners. I think some of the Maze in particular, one of the tougher dark rooms.
So, with the routing I was talking about earlier, you would bypass all of this, and you would have once you would have finished off with the big key chest, or I'm sorry, the big chest, you would have just walked right into the boss and called it a day, instead of having to go down, around, and back.
Right, and for VirtuaCat, that's just bad luck with not finding that big key, right?
For sure. And then they're going to go around. One of the easiest bomb jumps you can do is actually to the left. Instead of going up and to the right, that it would just gone straight to the left of that door. You could tuck yourself into that corner facing the door, drop a bomb, and it will always knock you over, almost free.
Yeah, one of the easier setups for bomb jumps.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Fred in pod picking up the big key in the vanilla spot there up on the ledge.
Misses the hook shot, gets it on the top, rewarded with 50 rupees. I believe there is an item on the ball.
I think you're right. I think I've only seen that hook shot so far. I could be mistaken, but I thought the hook shot before that last 50 rupee drop were 1 and 2.
And with tempered and half magic with a fire rod, this should be pretty easy for these runners to knock out.
Correct. We're going to get a cold stare left on VirtuaCat as Fred picks up second bottle with a B and is headed back to the start of pod with that death. VirtuaCat. Yeah, good herd there. You're looking to herd cold stare up with that spin slash and get as many shots in when they go to the upper right hand corner, and some nice 3 to time there for VirtuaCat picking up their 4th crystal in Ice Palace here.
Rewarded with the dungeon with the crystal, but not a whole lot of progression other than that.
Well, the hook shot was certainly nice, though. I mean, that
was the hook shot in there? That's right, it was.
Yeah.
That's right.
And that means an interesting choice for VirtuaCat. You're the saving quid here, so we know the flute, which is going to be necessary for Misery Mire, is up on the pyramid ledge. They're headed back to Sanctuary right now, and almost certainly going to be headed up to Death Mountain with that hook shot. Hook shot and hammer will get you up to Hera. The big, once you've cleared those out, you now have your mitts for getting into Dark World. Although with no mirror, you won't be able to get back conveniently, and with no medallions, that means no turtle rock checks.
And I gotta imagine VirtuaCat's gonna go check the lumberjack tree. It would make the sense. You're only gonna be here one more time. Check it, call it good. Sees that there will be an ice rod there and have that information as well.
Yeah, I like that check there. If you're going to be heading up the mountain, that's a good plan.
Sees the ice rod and says, "What am I gonna do with that? It's a freaking green pendant. Better go be that."
Yeah, I don't think they're sweating too much yet with no boots, but we'll see. Actually, technically, Aga still not yet in logic, as Fred is finding out the hard way, down to 4 hearts in the dark maze.
Yeah, that lamp is definitely playing a good game of hide and go seek for sure. And Fred makes it through the maze.
Lots of spite in these chests right now. So we're seeing dark rooms on both sides. VirtuaCat saving old man without too many difficulties, and we'll see what the old man's got.
Give some silvers.
Silvers, okay.
Makes Ganon fight a whole lot easier now that they don't have to worry about swordless strats, and with tempered, shouldn't be all that difficult.
Yeah, tempered and silvers, and not to mention, you've got a few areas where those could save you some time. Once you find those boots in Desert Palace, you can one-shot Landmolus, and with Misery Mire in play too, silvers tend to carve up Vitreous, so you gotta like seeing those in the old man.
That always makes you feel good when we see our first pendant, or I did not see what that was, other than it was a coin.
So as we take our hats off for the Hyrulean National Anthem, I will note Fred now, we're going to see 2 different ways on to Death Mountain. Fred almost certainly, when they go to Death Mountain, going to be fluting up there. And in fact, doing so right now. Do they save the old man? Yes.
They got the ether, but now the fun part, he's running out of checks with that hammer. And that's definitely got to be weighing on you as well. Where's the hammer at? All that good stuff.
Yeah, Fred's going to, unless they find the mirror up here, that means a trip up to Death Mountain, but no Tower of Hera at this point, because they're not going to be, without the hammer or the mirror, they're not going to be able to cross over, even though they'll be able to get the 7 chests, 8 rather, on the right side of Light World Death Mountain.
That is correct. And also, that's going to keep them out of Ice Palace and all that as well. So,
Well, VirtuaCat, one of the trickier bomb jumps in the game, trying to line that one up in Spectacle Rock, sort of clip your way into the edge, doesn't get it there. Fred, meanwhile, going to see the Ether medallion and almost certainly make a play for it.
we got the fire shield in the bottom of Paradox Cave. And beats the snot out of some mini Moldorms.
Oh, they just lined up to get murdered.
Yeah, they didn't make it hard. And we were rewarded with a blue mail.
So now, 11 hearts, blue mail, a bottle here. You'll pick up another one in pod. Looking like a pretty safe run up for the rest of the game. So, with execution becoming easier, routing choices could definitely become more important at this point.
Looks like Fred is going to pop in for some potions. And is going to, I'm assuming, check the Zora checks and maybe go into Ice Palace if he can't find it. He's not. He's going to check my area.
And VirtuaCat went north there. I could not see, and I think there may have been lag for a second, what was on Lake Hylia Island. But now going to pick up the pedestal here as Fred goes into my.
And we've got Bombos on Ether. So that, with 2 of them, that almost more than likely unlocks both Turtle Rock and Misery Mire, unless Bacon Pendant is needed.
Yeah, there's still there's still a lot of ways that the seed could go very south. One of them being that Quake medallion needed, but my guess is we'll see that on VirtuaCat's side after a clear out of Tower of Hera. Meanwhile, Fred now looks like headed to Ice Rod Cave, and I'd be interested to see if we can get Fred's voice comms once they check out the chest in there.
That would be epic.
And this is one of those times when, you know, we've had mentors during the course of this tournament for most weeks, or at least half of the weeks, mentoring these runners. One extra nice part from the mentors is that, you know, if you've left the check someplace, they'll have it in their head. They'll say, hey, you know, this will be the most efficient way to route that in. Make sure you don't forget X check here. Playing on your own, playing in a high pressure tournament, you know, you want to make sure that you're not leaving anything behind, and it can be easy to forget them sometimes. And it looks like Fred now finally running through their checklist in their head and going, okay, Ice Rod Cave was a whiff, you know, Paradox was a whiff. What do I do here? And going to find out that Hobo was holding off on that hammer.
Yeah, it's got to be a little bit of frustration, especially seeing as you've had the flippers for a minute. So it's been in logic and not one of those I'm gonna fake flipper on over and, you know, maybe it pays off, maybe it doesn't.
VirtuaCat now heading back up the stairs. That big key down in the basement there. You know, generally that would be a Herapot spot, but a very tricky one to pull off. And you know, it's a pixel perfect clip into that pot there to work their way up for Herapot glitch. Instead, going to be taking it the vanilla routing here.
And Fred heading immediately into Ice Palace makes sense, where they'll pick up their ice rod and then head
Hook shot.
on up. That what I say?
Ice rod. Yeah.
Oh, yep. Got ice on the mind. Map on compass, or remember if that's map or compass checks. Setting up for the bomb jump.
Yeah, what VirtuaCat trying to do there is use the spin setup for a bomb jump, and is rewarded with more bombs. Very nicely done there, though. If you spin and then start as the shuffle animation goes when you're falling into the pit, work your way back and release the spin, that will set you up right on the edge of the pit for a bomb jump anywhere you've got those pits. So helpful there, helpful at the entrance of Skull Woods, a couple of other places.
Fred finding his hook shot and giving it a couple fury swipes. And VirtuaCat making short work of Moldorm. And is given the compass.
So that's 5 for VirtuaCat. Still needs Misery Mire. We'll still need the boots in Desert Palace to knock off that big key, as we know. Both items there locked behind as well. And now, though, very possible we're going to see the dark side of Death Mountain from VirtuaCat.
Fred doing a good job on that icebreaker. And we'll see what they do as far as their routing as well.
And that item I didn't see before on Floating Island, just a red ruby, so no mirror needed there either.
Oh, do they go up? They do go up. So I would assume they're going to go iced tea room and then wrap it all up nice and smooth, which should save him a bit of time for sure. And that looks like exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, looking at splits, going to be able to make up a little bit of time over VirtuaCat there. Hopefully some of the time they didn't lost not having that hammer before. So as Fred makes their way through Ice Palace, VirtuaCat now into the Hookshot Cave and finds the mirror.
But I mean, a little bit in honesty, you probably didn't want to see the mirror at this point anymore.
No, that's two bad pieces of news after heading into the Dark World for VirtuaCat. One, that they can get into Turtle Rock, which means everything except for Trinex is now in play over there. You've got your Fire Rod, you've got your Cane of Samaria, you've got your Medallion. Two, now you've got everything in Swamp Palace in play now because you've got your flippers, you've got your mirror, you've got your hook shot, you've got your hammer. That's a lot of chests in pendant dungeons that just became accessible just from this one trip to the Dark Death Mountain.
And that was the bomb jump I was talking about earlier. Just put yourself in the corner. That's about all you have to do. Put a bomb down and you jump right on over. It's awesome.
Freest bomb jump out there. Do not be intimidated, new runners.
And then that routing right there is super quick. And you get all of the chests without having to do any backtracking pretty much whatsoever.
On the left side, VirtuaCat now going down Spiral, and I failed to mention that before, but that would have been a stranded chest had they not found that mirror back there. So if there's one silver lining, it's that they can now clean that one up.
And it's a shovel as the fetch quests begin. Again, that's more stuff you just don't want to see. You just want to gimme, 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 and I can go.
Fred picking up crystal number 4 over on the right side. VirtuaCat immediately going to cash in that shovel.
So are we just boots away from go mode?
Pending Meyer medallion. VirtuaCat now doing the Link's Awakening item trading sequence. Takes the shovel over, digs up the powder. We'll now be able to turn the powder into the magic bat. From there, you get the Yoshi doll, and you're only about 4 more steps away from a progression item.
Yeah, I can't imagine any of them really wanting to make any kind of dip into Ice Palace, especially if you can sit there. And I'm sorry, Turtle Rock, especially with the you only being about an item away. You really don't want to go in there. Nothing makes you feel grosser than having to go through pendant TR.
Agreed, and Fred, Fred's going to be able, and I didn't see the check on Meyer. I believe Fred went there already. But that pyramid ledge flute is looking very, very much like a key item right now. Especially VirtuaCat may be tempted over here to head downwards. I can't remember. I don't believe they did any of the Smith chain items over here.
So I've got to kind of assume maybe Misery Meyer is Quake, because you got to think VirtuaCat, who can clear all of it right now. Oh, he doesn't have the flute, does he?
No,
That's
no
right.
flute.
Only Fred got that.
No flute.
That could be pretty big as well.
Plus, you're doing this chain over here, so assume they'll get the smith here, hammer pegs. You return the lunchbox. You go check out Cave 45. You go check out the tablet. You do all those things. After that, VirtuaCat doesn't have 2 red crystals. There's a red crystal on Misery Meyer right now, so they're not going to be bringing up the big bomb. You'd say, "Oh, go grab the big bomb," generally, and that's where you route in your pyramid check. But that could push VirtuaCat over to Pod instead.
Yeah, and VirtuaCat picking up that butter sword. It's worth noting, while yes, it's stronger, it doesn't do any extra damage for the most part. The big thing for that is it gets you out of phase 2 a whole lot easier than with the red sword.
That's right, cuts you down from 12 swipes to 6 in each of those. And when you're dealing with phase 2 and those swirling fire bats on Ganon, that's a big difference.
Yeah, yeah. Nobody likes to be in phase 2 anymore, and they absolutely have to.
Okay, so keep an eye on Fred here. VirtuaCat passed up the Harapot clip. Fred going to do it.
Sets up, getting himself into position, making
And
excellent use of menu buffering.
this is unfortunate, though, because we know that the
Miss-
second item is going to be in the big chest, which means that in order to Fred's going to have to gamble after they do this anyway. That uh, either they go downstairs and waste this time, or just gamble that the other item didn't matter. But when you do that Harapot, the last thing you want to see is the item in the big chest. You want to see it on Moldorm. You want to see it in the map chest. But without the big key, can't get in there.
Something missing. Now, I wonder if they gamble and go back into it, or if they just say, you know what? Thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah, it's tough if you strand it there. I mean, at this point, Fred's got that flute, got that hammer. You're thinking, well, I've probably got the right medallion, so, rather, and again, I'm not sure, as you noted, Fred may have already seen that that's a quake there, but, you may think, do I really want to come all the way back here if this is boots?
Or if it's a lamp, you got to wonder how comfortable they are with dark rooms in Misery Mire.
Right, and I think we're probably looking at a really ugly lamp location here. With so much of the world opened up, and we've seen the bottom of pod at this point. We've seen, uh, a lot of stuff. We're looking at probably a dark run out in Mire, unless the runners get lucky at this point. So that could definitely be an equalizer.
Then we got VirtuaCat doing his Bombos check and is rewarded with $50.
So it's wild here. That lamp could very well be deep into TR or deep into Swamp Palace at this point. Either is certainly possible.
And Fred's going to make his way over to the Dark Death Mountain. Going to opt to take the Spiral Cave first, which is not a bad decision. Although we already know with Mirror, it would have been able to get back to it anyway, but better safe than sorry.
Right. This is this is the routing if you're going to be complete on the right side and you don't have the mirror, you definitely don't want to forget this check, because then you won't be able to come back.
VirtuaCat gonna find out that is in fact boots locked as well. And we'll find out that both items are in fact locked behind the boots.
As these runners clear up kind of each other's walk, definitely go give them a follow. Twitch.tv/VirtuaCat, Twitch.tv/Fred, aka Derf. Also throw some follows out to our fantastic tracker, Carlson32, our Restreamer McMonkey, and my wonderful co-commentator, GrimLegend. Don't follow me, I'm garbage.
I appreciate that, but for sure send him a follow as well. Community building community. That's what this is all about.
Yeah, I think one of the things I've enjoyed the most about this Mentor tournament is watching runners, experienced runners and newer runners pair up. run these races. We're getting new folks in on commentary and tracking. I think one of the things that I love the most about this community is that it's so open. Everybody is so giving of their time to volunteer for stuff like this to help out. If you're watching this and you haven't run a race yet, this is a perfect time to get in. Go follow the podcast. There's tons of great information there. Get on the Discord. Nobody here is going to give you a hard time. Everybody I've met over the course of running has been just fantastic. And so it's a wonderful community, and we'd love for you to be a part of it.
Fred getting his mirror and is going to finish off Hookshot Cave with that mirror. So now it'll be interesting to see if he goes over to Meyer. Goes over to, then we know that it's going to be either Ether or Bombos, because he was already there.
VirtuaCat now taking that portal. And looks to be going to Swamp.
Where was the flute at again?
Flute was on Pyramid.
Oh, that is right. And that could be a minute before they find themselves over that way as well.
Absolutely. So for new runners,
Fred is going into TR.
Yeah, we've got an interesting divergence here. Both of our runners going independent dungeons. Fred has had that flute. My guess is they've seen already Quake down in Mire. Still need boots anyway. So we're going to get that dip on the right side. Although also could be while they're up there, if they're not comfortable with getting through the bottom of Mire, could also be looking for Lamp. Meanwhile, VirtuaCat dipping different pendant dungeons. So we're going to get to see a lot of chest checks here. And this divergence could be very important.
Yeah, for sure, because we all know Green Pendant Turtle Rock always has exactly what you need, because they know you don't want to go to it.
Well, one thing we know can't be on Shrine X is the boots, because those are the Ice Riders locked behind Lumberjack Cave.
Finds the big key.
But they could certainly be on Laser Bridge.
Not liking that. Probably hoping for the item or two.
Okay, so we've got VirtuaCat flooding out Swamp Palace. So we may get to see our diver down glitch. Can you give a quick explanation, Grim, of what's the diver down glitch that we may see coming up here in Swamp Palace?
Okay, so we're going to see if they do left side swamp. It looks like they're going to go full. Well, they're going to go down. We'll see if they go down. So there's two forms of diver down in Swamp Palace. The one is on the left side, where basically you flood the gate on the left, put a bomb down, and as soon as the bomb explodes, you walk out without it actually clicking the switch. Then you sit there and set up your Samaria block right in a specific spot, jump into the water, and when you jump out correctly, it'll push you into the rail and let you jump over the rail. So when you go get your key, it'll be under the water, even though you look like you're over the water, and then the switch will activate. It's a pretty big move, and allow you to get past what normally would be you have to sit there and nope, it's gonna have to go back and do it. But see, the switch went off. If he is in the room when it goes off, it won't work. So he'll have to reset it. Get out of my way. Fire snake in the way as well. So he sets up, puts it down. There's about a 1 pixel gap that you're kind of looking for. Jumps out. Gets it. Unlucky. That looks good right there. So now when he goes through the door, it'll click. Before, what you would have to do is you'd have to go get that key, go up, open the door, flood the thing, hit the switch, go back down and around, and then now you just got to go through the thing, do the switch, or flood the thing, hit the switch, and then do the diver down, and then you're good to go. Big time save.
You know, and it's wild. A year ago, we didn't know about these. Icebreaker and Diver Down. I'm pretty sure at this point, a year ago, didn't know about either of these glitches. So when I say it's a great time to get into running, this is a Link to the Past is a game that's beyond old enough to drink. It's old enough to take out a mortgage at this point, and is still finding new glitches to speed through certain areas. So, just a fantastic time to get in and really learn the game.
Yeah, for sure. It's it, it's only been a thing for a couple of months for Diver Down and Icebreaker. Fred taking an unfortunate death, maybe intentional. I didn't see.
I'm thinking that's an intentional death. They were on 2 hearts there, Fred was,
No, better
get back
reset
in.
than
Yep.
take a bad death later.
Yeah, because you're always gonna take a couple of shots from the fire rod bars here, especially, if you're doing them in the dark, which we know at this point we
Now here comes that ice rod. There's an item here. I mean, you got to be praying. There's no boots are in. See, now here's where I don't like this play. You're already there. You might as well finish all of Laser Bridge so you don't have to come back. Make sure there's nothing on the boss. Because now, yeah, you got the boats, but now with VirtuaCat, when he goes down in there, having a bit of issue on the diver down, gets it second time. Good job. But when he goes through, if they were to decide to full clear, or at least take yourself all the way to the laser bridge, get all those items, and there's nothing on there, that's great. Fred would have to then reclimb, go all the way back through just to get that item when he was already there.
It's true, and, that's interesting. That could betray, a lack of comfort with dark rooms because you've gotta get through that, last Turtle Rock dark room, blind without the lamp at this point. And knowing that Meyer is coming up with arguably the hardest dark room in the game, apart from Aga, which doesn't even really count because you're doing Meyer much, much more in the dark than you are Aga. Um, I'll be interested to see Fred, assuming again that a lamp doesn't pop up in Desert Palace, how they handle that.
Was was Meyer a Quake medallion?
I still haven't seen.
I didn't see it either. I believe Casadin may have saw it and is saying that it was in fact Quake, or I'm sorry, either Bombos or Ether, and Quake is not needed.
And again, if that's the case, and Fred's seen it, and I'm pretty sure at this point Fred's seen it. I believe it lagged out for me when Fred checked, or I just
Yeah,
missed it.
for sure the same.
They're certainly routing as if it was boots for go mode.
Very nice one cycle for Fred. Well done. And then the benefits and is rewarded with an amazing bug net. Yeah, I would agree with Sailor. If he goes right back into the portal from there, he knows that it's not Quake. Yep, it looks like it is not in fact Quake, and we are in go. Once he picked up them boots in Turtle Rock and will not need to come back, so that's nice.
By way of explanation there, so there's a you may think, well, why doesn't Fred just go back through the portal and we see it's Ether? So yes, we had a 117. Well, or whenever he picked up boots a few minutes ago. We've got go mode. Why take the flute there? And the answer is it looks like Fred's going to try to set up a glitch called spooky action for the bottom of Mire here. Meanwhile, VirtuaCat finally getting their hands on the flute, though it may be too little too late at this point.
Yeah, it depends on how comfortable Fred is. I don't know how comfortable he is with dark rooms, especially the Mire dark room. But VirtuaCat, I mean, them boots could be anywhere. I mean, those are one of those items that are just are not required. So you might like I would need the boot. The only thing it pigeonholes is Desert Palace, and if there was something on Misery, or if there's something on Library or Lumberjack Tree.
Yeah, but they know now that the boots will be necessary for DP. They've been
Right.
there, but you know, I think that lumberjack piece of information, you know, it could be leading them away from you say, oh, okay, that's one less check I'm gonna have if I go up to Turtle Rock, when we know that that's where he wants to be.
Yeah, and I've got to imagine VirtuaCat's going to go to Mire and check the pendant, see what it is. They can beat it depending on how comfortable they are with the that dark room.
So we're gonna get to see Fred on the right side here do a couple of things. One, work their way through the bottom of Mire in the dark. Two, you know, try to do it with the spooky action glitch, and you'll see they'll run a little bit, and it's again kind of tough to see in the dark here. And try to set up that cane block on the switch, but
they did get through all right.
It's very
the hardest part is that first dark room, just figuring out where to put that Samaria block. And if anybody's interested, I believe a racer named Shireen has an awesome tutorial for it that it just shows perfectly how to do it. So give that a look as well if you want to learn how to do the dark rooms in Misery Mire well. And then VirtuaCat is in fact going to go check Mire's shed, cave, or checkerboard, and then probably dive into
VirtuaCat glitched out the game for a second too, I think there.
Yeah, so there's a way you can do it so where it changes and makes it all funny, which is fun. I don't know how to do it. I've seen people do it. Chat is saying that in fact the witches cursed him. And Fred is going to make mincemeat out of vitreous and will be headed on up. And with that, we're going to start our game of where is the big key in Ganon's Tower. Get your guesses in the chat, 1 through 22, on where you think that big key is going to be.
I mean, you know I'm a sucker for number 11 here.
I'm a 22 person.
I want to
am
see
a glutton for punishment.
That's hateful. That's just hateful. I like 22 when it's not tile. So VirtuaCat, you see here in Mire, but you know, whereas Fred with the boots already could just grab the big key on the right side and make their way back. VirtuaCat having to take the longer way around. I'm going to have to cut those chests and just going to bleed a little more time here, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's super unfortunate. That was such a huge play going into TR, taking that gamble and having it pay off big time with those boots. already knowing that he had the medallion he needed for Meyer. So
I like this.
sometimes that goes. That's rando for you.
Goes good Rando, and of course, there's still a lot that could happen back here. Although with Tempered Sword and Silver's Blue Mail, Fred doing a smart thing, picking up a fairy here under that rock, and if you're a newer player, one, you're always going to get a fairy under that bonk rock in the light world, and two, you can usually cheat out that fairy with your hook shot by hook shotting the rock first thing, so that way the fairy doesn't get away from you. But Fred with the bug net saying, "I'm gonna throw it in the bottle. I got 4 bottles. Let's be smart. Let's be safe." I think if you're Fred, you're probably thinking you're in pretty good shape, right? Knowing that it was a
Oh
50-50
yeah.
that you won on.
Yeah, because your opponent, it really doesn't want to make that move. You don't want to go into a pendant green or a pendant Trinex area or turtle rock. Good lord. And finding what you needed is super big. I mean,
Yeah, it's even though VirtuaCat made the play that had a few more chests in play. There's something to be said for thinking about your opponent, and I think that's a lot of what these runners are learning over the 6 weeks too. You really got to think about a one-on-one race differently than you do a timed rando seed. If you're behind somebody and you're making all the same plays that they are, you've got to hope they screw up basically. Um,
correct.
and as well equipped as these runners are right now, execution. You probably not going to have too many problems from here on out, and then we finally see the lamp
The
in my.
lamp. Thanks, Meyer.
So yeah,
Appreciate you.
that's definitely a racing skill, right? Being able to kind of get an idea of whether you're ahead or behind your opponent and what plays you should make as a result.
Absolutely. Because if you know somebody's really good, I mean, if you're going up against somebody like Andy, right, or something along them lines, top tier runner, I'm going to have to come out with some crazy to get ahead or catch a win like that. Knowing your skill set compared to theirs, what can I do to get a leg up? And we see the big key in the bottom right chest of compass room. See, they went left side.
Yep, it
They
was
go
the
Hope left or Hope Dark Magician right.
Yep, that was it. So it was number 9.
Nice. Number
What a
9. Carlson the Tracker is cheating. I mean, won the big key chest guessing game. Congratulations to Carlson 32.
Give the tracker all. Yeah, well, if there's any solace for VirtuaCat as they slog their way through the mire basement, is that they won't have to do it in the dark now. Unfortunately, they're going to have to do it still quite slowly with no boots and running out of spots here. And I don't believe Fred made the play into Pod yet, but I don't believe VirtuaCat's gone, correct?
I don't remember them going to Pod, but I mean, with Boots being able to be anywhere, this is going to be tough for him to justify going into TR. Another mountain climb, if it's there, you're in not in good shape if you last location it.
Yeah, I mean you're gonna have to come back. You gotta dip back down to Desert Palace. There's plenty saying no, don't go up there. So I don't think there's not a mistake here. I don't think VirtuaCat made bad routing decisions. I think it was just some coin flips that went the wrong way, and that's Rando a lot of times.
Yeah, I mean it's really hard to justify. I guess you're there, but that's still a gamble. You don't have all the stuff you need to beat it. I mean, if it's there, it's just gross. That's just, I mean, it's like, how do you justify going into TR if you don't have to,
Exactly.
But I don't know. You get to that point, it's like, oh, it's a green pendant and it's TR. Let's just go ahead and bite the bullet. We know it's there.
Now we're gonna see, I think, checkerboard check from VirtuaCat. So it's tough, you know. You're in most cases, you know, 90 minutes in, you say, well, you know, I'm one item from go mode. Yes, I'm hunting for it, but you know, it's 90 minutes. I'm still well on pace for everything here, but uh, it gets more and more frustrating as you start piling up locations and checks, and you start thinking, you know, what has my opponent found? And Fred there, by the way, demonstrating the wisdom of that fairy from before, revival there in the fire room.
Correct. And he'll be able to pick up another one. Ooh, barely gets through. Nice hammer or fire rod dash.
And VirtuaCat unfortunately headed to pod now, which is again, you know, a perfectly fine play, except we know that there's not.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what do you do right here? I mean, your choices are garbage and more garbage. I mean, which pendant that's a big time sink do we go into, you know?
So when you're racing and you find yourself, you know, on this quote unquote ice rod hunt, even though we know exactly where the ice rod is, but when you're looking for that last location item and you feel like your run was going fine, you were making the right choices, you know, and VirtuaCat made a lot of, you know, really good gambles earlier on. But when one goes south, how do you keep your head in a race like this?
It, it's hard. I've had a lot of bad beats, I guess you'd say, where you were in the lead and then somebody snakes you at the end. That one. Here it's kind of like, what do you do? You know, I mean, it's a minute or hour 29 in. You're making all the good decisions, but now you're just kind of stuck. I mean, there's not much you really can do about this right now. When he sees the dot done, you're just okay. I got Rando.
And credit where it's due to, you know, I think Fred's execution has been excellent here. You're seeing it now in the tower with this ag fight, a tricky fight, but dispatches ag extremely quickly. Had a great gauntlet run. You know, knew about their safeties, and deservedly tearing up the tower. And that's the sort of tower run that makes me say, you know, even if it had been a closer race, it was going to be tough to beat.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you could argue up until Fred found those boots, Fred was behind. I mean, it looked like VirtuaCat was gonna win this one without too much, and then Rando stepped out and bit him.
You know, even with this many tools to beat Ganon, you've got your silvers, you've got your tempered sword, and sometimes that could mean, you know, as comfortable as you are, you still got to not bleed time when you're in these fights because you know, if you found them, your opponents probably found them, and
Right.
so you're able to make short work of things. I like the cape play here by Fred, using that half magic to its fullest, making sure they're safe, and we'll now move into the third phase of the Ganon fight.
Yeah, yeah, you just nice and slow. You gotta feel like you're in the lead right here. Your opponent hasn't dot done. You took a big play. You're into Ganon about a minute 30. Feeling really good.
But the flip side here is, you know, and as we go into phase four, uh, nice get of the torch glitch with the fire rod there as well. Um, you know, this is kind of the point where, as a racer, you sort of find yourself saying, "Okay, no stupid mistakes," and that's easier said than done a lot of times. But Fred, just a beautiful, beautiful Ganon fight there with the silvers. And it looks like they're going to wrap this one up in about 90 smooth minutes. Get your GGs in chat as Fred moves to 5-1 in Swiss and punches their ticket to the Golden Sword bracket. GG to Fred.
Yeah, that was a really nice run. Made all the correct decisions. That TR play, gotta feel good about. K's
And hopefully we'll be able to get Fred to hop in here shortly for some post-match comments. VirtuaCat plugging along. Yeah, as open as that seed was early on, runners had a lot of choices to make over the course of things, and Fred hitting those boots with Turtle Rock uh, pays off big time here. So as I noted before, we will be moving into the bracket stage next week. This gets Fred through to the top Golden Sword bracket. VirtuaCat, who will be 4-2, could still make their way into the Golden Sword bracket based on tiebreakers. All of those are up on the challenge page. If you look on challenge for Go Mode podcast, you should be able to find it there for our 64 runners. Um, Next week, the first round of brackets is going to be best of one. Top seed will get to call the game mode, and there will be mentors on the line. And I believe that's the last time in the tournament that mentors will be in play. Excuse me, that's incorrect. Quarters will have mentors instead, but it will also be best of one. And we've got Fred in the chat. Fred, congratulations, GG.
Thank you very much. GG.
So a very wide open seed, very early Dark World access. Um,
Yeah.
Looks like a lot of the big divergence here came down to more or less at the same time. Both knowing you needed boots, you went up to Turtle Rock. VirtuaCat went down to Swamp Palace, and that was pretty much it from there. What drove you up? I mean, it's an excellent play going up to Turtle Rock. What made you decide to go that way?
Um, I think when I got first of all, when I got like the hammer really late, I figured I was super behind because I figured maybe he had gotten that. But when I went up to the Death Mountain for that first trip for most of the check, you know, Turtle Rock was there. It gave me the mirror, so Swamp wasn't even a choice for me until I went up to the mountain, and I was just like, I need to go into Turtle Rock to full clear the mountain because the boots are going to be somewhere. It's just as likely in Turtle Rock as literally anywhere else. And I also kind of thought maybe VirtuaCat had gone up there earlier and maybe got the mirror and was kind of, you know, um, drawn by that mirror into maybe Swamp or some of those other mirror checks, which was honestly going to be my next play after Turtle.
And we
and
now see VirtuaCat working their way through their own little digging game here. It looks like we've got VirtuaCat told me before the race that you guys have been buddies for quite some time. Yes.
That's what he told me that he told you too.
Nice. I love that. Yeah, he said a real loser leaves town match going on there. A real Meltzer 5-star in the Tokyo Dome, 6-star in the Tokyo Dome match. GG's in chat, by the way, for
Oh yeah,
VirtuaCat. Gonna wrap it up there. I don't blame them. As with that, those
yeah.
boots could be
Are they also
anywhere at
in
this
boot,
point.
looking for boots? Okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's basically it. A lovely.
changed his
Oh,
thing to Fred the best. But yeah, excellent job. What possessed you to decide to drive that or to go into Turtle Rock?
Just that I was there. I think I got the medallion up there too on Death Mountain, and I was like, I didn't know what the medallion was, but when I got that bombos, I was like, well, if Turtle Rock is open, I guess I need to go in. Um, so I was just like, let me full clear it. I also knew I didn't need to beat Trinex because I knew nothing could be unped because you needed the boots to get the ice rod. So I was like, I can effectively full clear it even if I don't get all the items because I don't need uh, anything from the boss.
Yeah, I
That
mean
was
that.
basically most of it. But that was a really good decision I made after a bunch of really bad decisions, as I'm sure you saw.
You guys were you were behind, I think, at that point, and once you picked up those boots in Turtle Rock, it really just propelled you ahead. Did you know
Yeah,
what the Meyer medallion was going before you went into Turtle Rock?
yeah. I actually checked that. Oh,
Relatively early on, I thought, it's and we caught some lag over
yeah.
here, and it was a quick check, so sit here, but we saw you duck up, and obviously when there's a little bit of lag on that side, it's always a little tough to tell. Did they see it, or
Yeah, I did. I remember I did check the Misery Mire medallion, and in my head, I was like, "I'll go in it if I can," and then I'd forgotten that I didn't have the hook shot or the boots at that time.
and welcome to VirtuaCat, great race. Bad luck there. Some days you're the big show, some days you're the table. Um, can you tell us? We got a VirtuaCat.
Hey, did I just like miss boots really early?
No, they were very
No.
buried.
Very late, unfortunately, in Turtle Rock.
Uh, I should have dove that while I was up there. GG's to Fred.
Hey,
Our
GG.
long-standing rivalry finally ends.
Yeah, and I should say congratulations to Fred. This at the end of Swiss puts you at 5-1, which means you're headed to the Golden Sword bracket for next week. Virtua, are you going to have a long week of scoreboard watching ahead of you?
Man, I don't know how to make sense of that. I'm just going to play Dota instead, probably.
Oh yeah, because if you want to escape complexity, there's no place I'd rather go than Dota.
Yeah, I thought I was doing pretty all right. I took a dumb death to a crab early, and but everything was pretty linear leading up to okay. Well, then you have to just find flute and boots, um,
Yeah.
and mm, that was my glorious downfall, I guess.
Yeah, and you actually had the hammer much earlier than Fred did, having done that hobo check and finding that there. And, at the time we were saying, well, Fred's sort of running around scrounging for hammer, running out of checks, but there were a lot less places the hammer could have been as opposed to the boots, which, by that point in the race just could have been any.
Yeah, I wasn't even. I thought about going up to Turtle Rock, but I just didn't. It was it was I thought I don't know. There was other crystal dungeons available to me, so I went ahead and did those. Um, but otherwise, it's a good seed. I liked it. It's just unfortunately it did not go my way.
Yeah, a lot of coin flips in there, but honestly, both of you all ran excellent race. Fred, especially that, we noted that that Ganon's Tower run was very, very strong. After 6 weeks of Swiss, you guys, do you feel you've improved as runners? Are you nervous heading into the bracket stages? Are you looking forward to getting a mentor back for the next 2 weeks? How's everybody feeling?
It feels good. I'm glad that I don't have to worry about my ranking now. I got a lot of like great advice from my mentors. Lots of really just great things that they brought down. Uh, Learned some tricks that I wouldn't have learned otherwise.
Yeah, we saw some good icebreakers today. Saw some good diver downs. Fred, saw the Harapot on your end.
Yeah, yeah. Been working on that one. Thankfully, I did it with my last bomb that I had. Um,
And noting that, as evil item placements go, a close second to the roller room boots in this one was the lamp all the way in the big chest in
that was terrible.
Meyer.
Oh, where was it?
You missed it in Meyer. It was in the big chest.
Oh yeah, I was in Goma at that point. So.
Oh yeah, of course. But how long did it take you to pin down Meyer? Because as we were watching, we were saying, hey, that's probably the last pain point between you and the end of this game with your Ganon equipment. Have you been practicing?
Yeah, something I've been working on since this mentor tournament started. I just kind of made a list of everything that I should do to compete in a rig.
Awesome. Well, now that Fred, you've got the upper hand on the rivalry. Is there any smack talk you want to give to VirtuaCat or?
I hope we meet in the bracket.
Yeah, absolutely. Fred's legit probably one of the nicest people like in this tournament. So we thought we'd have a little fun, create a little rivalry there. Just dumb and silly.
I love it. Then this is just me, Homer Simpson, wandering into the room trying to get Bart and Lisa to fight. You guys are both wonderful, and thank you for one.
Yeah, appreciate it. And again, everybody give them a follow. They certainly deserved it. Give our commentator follow. Give our tracker follow. Give our restreamer follow. Hook them all up.
Yeah, big shout out to Carlson32 today and McMonkey. Both those guys doing fantastic. In the face of some technical difficulties and doing a great job as we RIP Mixer and move forward to different back ends. Great work today, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. GG's again, guys.
All right. Any last thoughts?
Don't trust cops.
Ooh, political. Not as hot a take as Fred's "I don't like dogs" for his name, but a hot take nonetheless. All right. Well, Grim, anything else?
Just make sure you check out the Go Mode podcast, join the Discord. Make sure you tune in for all the restreams if you can. Show everybody that support in this community. And thanks again for coming out to support us again tonight.
Absolutely. And thank you all for watching. Thanks to our two wonderful runners, our great crew. Get hype, everybody. One more week of Swiss, and then we head into brackets next week. So for Carlson and McMonkey, for GrimLegend, I'm SpamMusubi. Thank you, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your night.